This video was made possible by our generous supporters on Patreon. To learn more, stay tuned until the end of the video. Jurassic Park isn't just a thrilling blockbuster about dinosaurs. It's a philosophical parable about human arrogance, technological overreach, and the illusion of control.
Hold on to your butts.
Beneath the spectacle lies a sharp critique of the profit-driven exploitation of discovery and science. The film explores the ethics of technological advancement, mankind's dangerous attitude towards nature, and the inevitable collapse that follows when ambition and profit go unchecked and outpace caution and wisdom. It makes the case that when we ignore nature's limits, failure isn't just possible, it's inevitable. The original movie took its deliberate time before showing any dinosaur at all. Spielberg once again going back to the Jaws effect, where what you don't see is often scarier than what you do. You see, even though from the title of the movie and the trailers, people back then knew very well that this movie had dinosaurs in it, but the fact that we don't even see any of them right away is a deliberate and a very smart choice. It builds tension and leaves the audience wondering and wanting more. Anyway, during the opening scene, we do get an introduction to these animals, and Spielberg could have used a scene like when our characters first meet the Brachiosaurus, which is an awe-inspiring scene. It fills us with awe and with a feeling of adventure that is also important to the movie. However, instead, in the opening scene, we're left with a very different feeling: dread. And this choice matters. This is Spielberg signaling that the movie, at its core, is not so much about the wonders of science, but there's also a danger looming, power, and also the precarious illusion of control. The park, introduced as some sort of utopian dream, is doomed from the very start, because it's built on an illusion. It's built on a belief that nature can somehow be systematized, predicted, and dominated. The men running the park act like gods, thinking they've conquered extinction itself. But nature, chaos, and life don't play by corporate timelines. The opening scene shows us the chaos starting even before our main characters arrive at the park. Dr. Ian Malcolm is the philosophical backbone of the movie. He's introduced to us as a sort of cynical man, flirty, and a bit arrogant. However, his ethics are grounded in one essential truth, that is, that life cannot be contained.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
That's an incredibly enduring line because, of course, it applies far beyond the scope of dinosaurs. It's about any form of unchecked progress, whether it's AI, genetic engineering, nuclear technology, social media algorithms. The question of should is always lagging behind the could, and that's the danger. Malcolm, of course, isn't anti-science by any means, but he is anti-delusion. He recognizes that systems will always fall in the face of chaos. The park's downfall is ultimately not caused by a flaw in genetic programming, business design, or anything like that. It's due to a flaw in the philosophy of building the park in the first place. John Hammond isn't a villain, he's a tragic figure in the story, he's a dreamer. He genuinely believes he's found a way to gift the world something extraordinary, not just cater to the super rich. For him, it's less about money than it is about legacy and vision. But that is, of course, precisely the problem. His dream blinds him. His good intentions become a shield for his own arrogance. He ignores every warning sign, convinced that his good intentions justify the risk of building the park. But good intentions don't override reality. Again, his failure isn't really greed in the traditional sense, but it's his ego. This nuance is crucial because Jurassic Park doesn't just attack cartoonish villains, it's a well-crafted critique of any attempts, even well-meaning ones, to control nature. Hammond isn't evil by any means, he's just wrong.
Spared no expense.
This is Hammond's line. It's repeated throughout the movie almost to a comical degree. It's almost as if he's trying to convince himself. But money isn't really the issue here. The problem is that the park is built for show. Everything in it is specifically designed to entertain, to dazzle, and instill wonder in the visitor. But the dinosaurs are treated more as assets than living creatures. What really matters is not their well-being or the implications of reversing their extinction, but their value to the public as attractions. Here, the film takes aim at capitalism's obsession with spectacle, the monetization of awe, the exploitation of nature, and the dangerous mindset that everything can be managed and controlled if you just throw enough money at it. Jurassic Park is the logical endpoint of that mindset, and it falls apart spectacularly.
God creates dinosaurs. God destroys dinosaurs. God creates man. Man destroys God. Man creates dinosaurs.
The film has a few religious overtones to criticize the illusion of control. The people who built the park believe they've become the masters of evolution, that they've written a better script than nature itself. They've removed all unpredictability by installing fail-safes, but of course, nothing really works as planned. All security systems end up failing, all of the fences and all of the locks, and in the end, nature doesn't simply break out, it overthrows them. It reclaims control. The most powerful creature in the park is not a scientist or a CEO. It's the T-Rex, which represents a force of nature that no algorithm can contain. A lot of people grew up with this movie, and I think when we were kids, we came and we stayed for the dinosaurs, which, to be fair, they are pretty awesome and still look amazing to this day. But as an adult, I can't help but think that the main driving force of the movie are the philosophical themes working behind the scenes, expressed so wonderfully in the many great scenes featuring dialogue between characters. They speak to the timeless tension between progress and restraint. As Dr. Ian Malcolm puts it,
Your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
this is, of course, the main dilemma of the movie, and unfortunately the sequels mostly miss this, especially the most recent ones. They lean into the spectacle, bigger dinosaurs, more explosions, but they forget that the original monster of the series wasn't the T-Rex, it was human arrogance. And that's what made the original so great. It wasn't just a thrill ride, it was a reflection of the dangers of unchecked ambition. The sequels, of course, do flirt with these philosophical themes, but none of them truly commit to exploring them with the same depth, nuance, or narrative integration as the original movie. The Lost World comes closest to carrying the philosophical torch, bringing back Ian Malcolm, which does help. It contains threads about the exploitation of nature for profit, trying to bring back dinosaurs to the mainland as attractions, human irresponsibility, and the unpredictability of nature once it's commercialized. But in its execution, the moral and philosophical themes are often overshadowed by spectacle and action sequences. Spielberg's heart also wasn't fully in this one either. He's admitted as much. So while the ingredients are there, they're not cooked into a coherent meal the way they are in the original. Jurassic Park 3 is basically an action-adventure survival movie with almost no philosophical content. There are no real moral dilemmas, no deep questions, just people trying to escape dinosaurs. They brought Alan Grant back for this one, and there's some brief tension around his distaste for genetic manipulation and his trauma around the events of the first movie, but the film doesn't really care to explore it. The newer entries in the franchise, beginning with Jurassic World, largely abandon its deeper themes in favor of spectacle and nostalgia. These movies occasionally gesture toward ethical concerns like corporate greed, animal rights, and scientific overreach, but they rarely go beyond surface-level commentary. The original asked haunting questions about the limits of human control and the moral implications of playing God. By contrast, the sequels are much more interested in genetically modified super dinosaurs and over-the-top action set pieces. In trying to outdo the original's thrills, they lose sight of its soul. Ironically, the Jurassic World films ended up becoming what the original warned against, which are flashy, marketable attractions built on top of the bones of something far more thoughtful. In an era of artificial intelligence, bioengineering, and exponential technological growth, Jurassic Park feels less like science fiction and a little bit more like prophecy. It's a modern myth disguised as a blockbuster, a film that warns us that wonder without wisdom is a recipe for disaster, that curiosity without caution leads to collapse, and that nature, in the end, doesn't really care about profit margins. It's not just one of the greatest movies ever made, it's one of the most essential. If you enjoyed this video and want to help us keep making more content, we've just relaunched our Patreon. The link's in the description and in the pinned comment below. Patrons get early access to videos, voting power on future topics, your name in the end credits, and much, much more. We've been having so much fun making these new videos and we want to keep making them, so Patreon is the best way you can help us do that. So if you've been enjoying the channel's comeback, check out the link in the description or the pinned comment, and let's make the next chapter even better. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.